Hi everyone, and welcome to what is hopefully going to be a fairly quick review today. This is for, well, you might think it's for Soundwave MP-13, but in fact it's not. It's for an add-on kit that I picked up for Soundwave. This little kit here, the Model002 add-on kit for Soundwave, which comes with a bunch of accessories to transform your stock Soundwave into one with light up gimmicks and audio effects. I'm not entirely sure who makes this kit. It's listed online as being MoDel or Model, but when you put it into Google Translate it comes up as Model002, so make of that what you will. Anyway, it was they put out another kit for Megatron as well, I think, which was their 001 kit, which had a bunch of alternate faces and light up heads, and there was both a grey and a silver version of that. And as it says on the bottom, they also put out a kit for MP-08, their Grimlock, which had light up gimmicks as well. But that's the packaging anyway. Now, I've already installed quite a lot of the stuff that comes with it. I'll give you a quick overview of the stuff that I haven't. It comes with a little screwdriver in a baggie, so that if you don't have one to hand, this will do the job. And it also comes with a couple of visors for different coloured eyes, one of which I don't currently have installed, and that's this yellow piece, if I can get it to focus at all. I probably can't because this camera is not really variable. I'll point that out a little bit more in a little bit more detail later on. But anyway, this is not MP-13. This is MP-02, I believe, which is the Hasbro release of the figure. It's actually the first Transformer, or the first Masterpiece Transformer that I ever owned. It was bought for me as a gift. And I can remember thinking at the time, the person who bought it for me was crazy, because it was something like £120 from the local Toys R Us, and I'd seen it along with MP-10, the Hasbro MP-10 as well, which was about £100 at the time, I think. And I said to myself, they look great, but I'm never going to pay that amount of money for them. And then I got it as a surprise birthday present. I wish to this day that I'd gone back and bought the Hasbro Prime myself, because, you know, at the time I was adamant that I would never buy one of these myself, and they were totally extravagant prices for toys and display pieces, etc. But now, having owned as many as I do and having paid as much as I did for the Takara MP-10, I kind of wish I'd picked up the Hasbro version when I had the chance, but I digress. Anyway, what you get in the box, along with, as you could probably see from the reverse of it, is not just a new head, but a bunch of other accessories as well. So you get an entirely new replacement headpiece, along with the two visors. You get a cassette and a new concussion blaster. Now, as I said, I've got all of that on my Soundwave already. I'll show you my my old MP-13, sorry, my old MP-02 head, which is here. And I'm just going to bring in the new one a bit closer to the camera so you can get a better look at it and see that it's actually a pretty close match to the original. Now, I will say that the paint apps on the original, certainly these black pieces, are better done than they are on the replacement head. But elsewhere, it's pretty much of a muchness, to be honest. You've still got the silver sort of flecks in the paint. If I look at it, you still have that little silver crest detail there that you don't have on MP-13, but it was on MP-02, so I'm glad they retained that. Although again, it's done slightly sharper on the original head than it is on the replacement. But the actual silver itself isn't bad at all. It looks pretty good. I have a an ever so slight defect on mine, which I'm not sure if you can see, if we'll pick up on the camera. Very tiny little mark, which shows up worse under this harsh light than it does in normal light. But then my original MP-13 head has a big burr on the side of the faceplate there, which is worse as far as I'm concerned. So it swings around about, so I think they both have their pluses and minuses. I do like the yellow eyes. I always thought they looked good and they were toy accurate, but I'm such a toon accurate guy these days that I really wanted to get this kit primarily not for the light up features, but because it was the most cost effective way I could find of getting red eyes for this character without risking damaging the head. Now I'll just put them to one side for a moment so the camera focuses a little bit better. You can see that as I turn it around, there's a seam running down the side of the head there, obviously on both sides. Now you'd think that to separate the head it would be a case of just removing this screw at the back, but that's not actually the case, because on this version of the figure they chose to glue the two sides together, the two halves of the head. So if you want to separate it, you have to take a knife to it and cut down and try and cut through the glue. Now the problem with that is that there are some tabs as well that lock the head together. Now apparently, and this is why I didn't want to do it, but it's very easy to cut through those tabs and cause irreparable damage, and it can loosen the neck and make it a bit floppy, and I didn't really want to do that. It's something that was irreversible, and even if I had taken the head apart, I would still have then had two options, one of which would have been to paint the eyes myself, which I'm not very good at painting. I don't think it would look great. The other option would have been to be picking up something like the non-F upgrade, which I think was available in red and blue and yellow as a kit. So you had a lot of options. But the problem with that was that obviously I came to the party quite late with that sort of mod, and I couldn't find it anywhere, even for silly prices. So getting an entirely new replacement head was probably the best thing I could do, actually. There was one minor issue with it. I don't know if you can see really, but even when I pushed the head all the way forward to expose the back of the neck, the screw is still slightly obscured by the very base of the head. So unscrewing to separate the neck piece, which is the way you get the head off, it was unavoidable that I bored a tiny piece of blue plastic out. You can probably just about make it out. It is very slight and it doesn't really show up that much when you're looking at it at a quick glance, but I mean, I know it's there, so it does bug me somewhat, but really it's pretty negligible. It's the only way of doing it anyway. But that's the original head. As you can see, I'll put that to one side and bring Soundwave back in, and as you can see, like, the head is a pretty close match as far as I'm concerned. It looks quite, well, almost spot on, I'd say. And even if I swing him round, you can see the back of the head similarly. It's almost identical. The main differences actually are that instead of having a central screw there, you have two screws at the side, and that the screw on the neck is a slightly different position. I don't know if the neck's slightly longer or whether it's just the headpiece is ever so slightly different, but there is clearance there for that screwdriver. You don't have to bore out the plastic when you're unscrewing or screwing it back in, which is good. So let's put him back up here and we'll go through some of the gimmicks he's got first, because, you know, it's not what I bought the set for, but I can understand why people might have. So first things first, he comes with an audio cassette, quite literally. This, as you can see, it's in his chest here. It looks like a sort of mini cassette. It, you know, doesn't really, aesthetically, there's not much to it. It has a little sticker on it. But when you press the button on his chest, or his eject button, it plays a variety of sounds, both English language sound effects and Chinese. So let's just run through a few of those now. Now, that's the first set I'm going to go through, and as you can hear, we had the classic Frank Welker voice from the G1 animated series, saying one of his most famous catchphrases, or most famous lines, along with a full rendition of the opening theme song, which is a bit of a strange inclusion, to be honest. I'd rather they put some more voice clips in. And then you get a transformation effect both ways, so either transforming into alt mode and transforming back to robot mode. So those are pretty cool. I mean, I say the theme song's a bit of an odd inclusion, but I do like the Frank Welker clip. But the majority of the voice clips are Chinese, and to say that Soundwave had a bit of a weird voice, sorry, I say Chinese, they're Japanese, sorry. It's the guy who did the voice, from the way I understand it, is actually quite famous for doing the voice. But, well, I'll let you listen. You can tell me what you think of it in the comments if you like. There you go. I think that's all of the language clips. Yeah, weird. He kind of sings his lines, and I'm saying it's Japanese, but now I'm kind of, I don't know, because he's singing it, it makes it difficult for me to understand, not being a native speaker. I'm usually pretty good with languages like Japanese, Chinese, etc., Korean. But yeah, I'm now doubting myself as to whether that's actually Chinese or Japanese. But anyway, it's really weird. I mean, obviously it's not aimed at the Western market, the English-speaking market, this kit, so you can understand why it's there. But yeah, very, very strange voice that he had outside of Western G1 continuity. Not something I'm overly fond of, but you know, I'm sure those who are will get a kick out of it. He also comes with this light-up concussion blaster gimmick, which, yeah, I mean, it's a purple light, or almost more like a magenta light on the end of his concussion blaster. It looks okay. I mean, I swapped it out purely because I'd paid for it, and I thought, well, it looks okay, I'll have it on there. I don't really think it's any better or worse than the stock blaster. You can't really see that it is a kind of different colour when it's not illuminated, so I keep it on there for that reason alone, to be honest. But yeah, again, it's not a selling point for me. Not a big fan of gimmicks, light up gimmicks or audio gimmicks, to be honest. That said, obviously that's mainly what the set was sold for, so it would be remiss of me not to show off the light up feature of the head. So I'll just bring it in a bit closer. Now, as you can see, the eyes are what really sold me on it. They, even without the light up gimmicks, they're still quite metallic looking. They're not as bright or as metallic as the MP-13 stock eyes, but they certainly do the job, you know, in favour of the other things I was discussing about having to cut the head open and search down parts that weren't available or paint it myself. So this is what it looks like when you first click the button on the side of his head. You get a slow pulsing feature there. You can probably see them going on and off quite slowly. Another press of the button has them going a lot quicker, and a third press permanently illuminates the eyes. Now, it's okay for what it is. I mean, I personally don't like it all that much because, as I say, I'm not really a big fan of the gimmicks, but there's also quite a lot of light leak on it, or light bleed. So yeah, it's not as effective as it could be, but it looks okay. But for me, I'm quite happy to have him just stood on a shelf with the red eyes, looking as toon accurate as he can. I'll just pop him back up there a second, and as I said, I'll bring these in. He also comes with this piece, which is another visor with yellow eyes attached. So if you have MP-13, you could do the reverse of what I've done if you like the toy look, and have the yellow visor on him, the yellow eyes. Now, it's a pretty easy way of swapping it out. I've seen a lot of people saying you have to take the head off and take it apart and that, but you don't. I'll just put this down and see if I can manipulate it. It's difficult to do as is, but I'll see if I can do it one. Well, you basically, these two horns on his head here are slightly flexible, so you pull them to one side without breaking it if you can, and the whole faceplate just pops off and reveals his electronics. And then you take the other faceplate and you just insert it, and try not to break anything because that would be tragic, and it can be a bit of a pain to align actually. That's one thing that I don't like about it, but you just take it and you, best you can, you put it back in, clip it on, and there you go. So there we have Soundwave with yellow eyes. And again, the light up feature for that actually looks slightly better. Oh, I think it does anyway. They come on and then they slowly fade out. Come on, fade. Yeah, there you go. And they come back on with the pulsing effect. There's the flashing effect with the yellow. I think that looks pretty good actually. Looks better than the red. There's less leak of the light, I think. And then fully illuminated again. Yeah, I mean, if I were going to use the light up gimmick, I think I'd stick with the yellow eyes because it looks better. But as I'm not, I'm going to keep it as red. So for me, anyway, it was a good kit for what I paid for it. It was, I think, less than £20, and it arrived in a week from China. You know, it's not quite as good as having the real MP-13, you know, with the eyes, but as I say, I'm not going to rebuy a figure just for that, and this was a cheap way for me to get the toon look without spending silly money on MP-13. And an MP-02, to be honest, it was much better value for money because it came with all 5 of his cassettes, and you know, it holds a special place for me because it was a gift and it was the first ever Masterpiece Transformer I had. So I'm quite happy to keep him in my collection for as long as I can, until the inevitable Takara redesign, the more toon accurate version. I'm sure that will come one day. One other thing that the set came with as well, which was a big factor in me deciding to go for it, was an add-on for MP-36. Now, I'll move him out of the way there. Let's leave him off to the side and bring old MP-36 in. And there he is, old Megatron, looking suitably angry. Now, one of the biggest problems with this figure, for me at least, was that the back was just a lot of exposed kibble. And when the KOs came out, it was really frustrating that the third-party companies, the knockoff companies, had designed backpacks or back panels to cover up that kibble. It seemed like something Takara, you know, should have done, could have done. It just seemed lazy. Now, the Infinite Transformation Megatron was the first one that I'm aware of to do it. It might even be the only one, actually. But the backpack from that, or the back panel from that, isn't compatible with MP-36 without modification. You have to snip it with tweezers or something, or clippers, because of the way the back panel is ever so slightly different. I didn't want to do that, so I ended up getting this kit because it also includes a back panel that fits the official MP-36, and it's a pretty close match. It's not dead on, but it's pretty close, and it does a really good job of covering up all that back kibble, which, you know, without it, it's let's see if I can do it without pulling the figure to pieces. I haven't taken it off since I got it, actually, so I can't remember. There we go. So there we go. That's what it looks like without it. It's a complete mess. As I say, it's not a completely spot on colour match, but it's close enough. And then you just pop it on like that, put that back on, and yeah, that tidies up nicely, I think. And I thought it was only with the first run, but from what I understand, it's still included now. So if you're looking to tidy up your official Megatron, this is another reason to get the set. Probably not if you don't have Soundwave, but who doesn't have Soundwave? So, all things considered, anyway, I think this is a very worthy addition to my collection. As I say, it was a cheap option. It does the job, gives Soundwave the tune accurate eyes that I always craved, albeit not installed at the moment. And it has the added bonus of tidying up Megatron as well. So yeah, if you have either of these figures and you're in the same boat as me, maybe you have the Hasbro Masterpiece Soundwave and the official Megatron, you can kill two birds with one stone by picking up this kit. Yeah, as I say, it's less than 20 quid on eBay. I'm sure it probably still is around that price. And it doesn't take long to arrive from China nowadays. You know, I'm amazed with how quickly things ship and arrive from China. It's insane. But I digress again. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this quick look, and I'm hoping to do a review for another kit as well in the near future for Infinite Transformations Megatron, actually, which I've also picked up recently because I prefer the paint job on that. So it just remains for Soundwave to have the final word. Until next time.